At least I got rid of the motorcycle, right? At least I got rid of the motorcycle. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. It is so great to see you. I hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Time is flying by here in my windowless office where neither time nor space are relevant. I want to take a few minutes and talk to you a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be shifting gears away from a basic reintroduction of theory of knowledge and into some more practical matters. And so if you'll indulge me for just a minute, I'm going to share my screen, take you through the agenda, talk to you about what you guys are going to be working on today, and then you're going to be going to some breakout rooms and coming back and then going back and coming back and all that stuff. Plenty of opportunities for your Wi-Fi to drop and for you to be kicked out and then try to get back in. All right, here we go. All right, so fantastic. If you're not in Canvas and Google already, I recommend that you get there. Our agenda for today is pretty simple. We're going to shift our focus to the TOK essay. And I'll talk to you a little bit about why I'm doing that. Traditionally, I would wait to even mention the TOK essay until second semester senior year, with the thought being that seniors are very, very occupied with their extended essay and their college applications during first semester, that they don't really need to be juggling a whole nother essay. And while I still believe that to be the case, I also am reflecting on performances over the last few years. Think that there's also a lot of senioritis that kicks in towards the end of your senior experience. And so maybe by getting things started a little bit earlier, I'll have some better engagement in the process. So full transparency, that's why I'm going to start introducing the TOK essay now, instead of waiting until January or February. Now rest assured, it's not going to take up a lot of your time outside of class working on the TOK essay. I still want you to be focused on your extended essay, college applications, and all the work you're doing in your AP courses. But we're just going to get the ball rolling sooner so that you're engaged in the process a little earlier. So today we're really going to be focusing on introductions, both today and next week actually. We'll be really focusing on what a good introduction to a TOK essay looks like. Next week on Wednesday, IB is actually going to release the titles for the May 2021 examination season. And so following an examination of the intros, we'll start taking a look at the titles that are out there, and you can start thinking about which one you're dying to write about. So that's where we're going to be headed over the next few weeks. All right, in Canvas, hopefully you will see in our modules that there is a new module published. It says Writing Workshop Part 1. And in there, you'll see there are a couple of activities related to introductions. Thumbs up if you can see that. Okay, awesome. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at some TOK essays that have been written in the past, graded by IB, and shared by IB for you to learn from. Now, you've already, I believe, seen a couple of essays like this. In fact, you may have even seen one of the essays we're going to be studying today, because I think last year, as part of maybe a final exam, first semester or second semester, I had you looking at a TOK essay and critiquing it. At least I've had juniors do that in the past. And so I'm thinking, although maybe with second semester being the way that it was, and there weren't final exams, maybe you guys haven't done that. But if you take a look at this one right here, TOK essay writing, studying the introduction, if you click on that, you'll see that it's got links to 5 sample essays. 3 of them, 1, 2, and 3, were all given fairly good evaluations by IB, some better than others. Examples 4 and 5 were ripped to shreds by IB. They really did not like those essays. And so what we're going to do today, first in small teams and then together as a big group, is take a look at just the introductory paragraph for these 5 essays. We're not going to read all 5 essays. We're just going to take a look at the intros. And we're going to look for a couple of things. And the ones that IB loved, that sample 1, 2, and 3, what did those introductions do? What function or purpose were they serving, right? How successful were they at doing what it was they're setting out to do? And you'll take a look at them and you can talk about it with your team see if you can figure out what are these 3 introductions trying to do? What do they have in common? What did IB probably love about them? And then conversely, with the second set, with 4 and 5, look at those introductions. What do you think IB did not like about those? What do you think the struggle was? Why do you think they were ineffective? Now, I know you're all amazing writers, and you're all very, very proficient English users. Please remember that the students may be writing these essays in a language that is not their native language, okay? So you'll see one of the essays, for example, is written by an Ethiopian student, and you know that because he or she identifies themselves as Ethiopian. Well, obviously, right, like they're not writing in Amharic or Sidamic or whatever their local language is, they're writing in English, which is a second language for them. So, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, who is it?
I said, will they grade you different if English isn't your first language?
Great, AJ. Will they grade you differently if English isn't your first language? And the short answer is they're not supposed to. And you'll see as we begin to explore the rubric for the essay, nowhere on the rubric does it say anything about grammar, spelling, or even really generally paragraph or sentence construction. Like the grammar of the essay technically shouldn't matter. I say technically because obviously if your ideas are incoherent because you don't use the language very well, that's obviously going to impact how the assessor grades your essay. So AJ, they're not supposed to go easier on you if you're writing in Spanish, though you really speak, an indigenous Mayan language at home. They're not supposed to grade you any easier because they wouldn't really even know that. But if your essay was so poorly written in Spanish that the assessor couldn't really follow your thoughts, it would certainly impact your grade on the essay.
Okay.
So I guess that's a long way of saying it's not really going to help you if they know, but it could hurt you if your ideas are jumbled. Okay, so in a moment, I'm going to send you guys into some breakout rooms. Do you feel comfortable with what I'm asking you to do? Just going to take a look at just the introductory paragraphs and talk about what makes them good or what makes them bad. That's it. I think maybe about 15 to 20 minutes to do this, about 4 minutes or so, 3 or 4 minutes for each paragraph, I think will be plenty. But again, as we get to the end of that time, if you guys feel like you need more time, we can certainly do it. We'll come back together. I want to hear from you about what you thought was good and what you thought was bad. And then I'll introduce you to what you're going to be doing in the second half of class / for homework, depending on how long it takes you. All right, everybody cool? All right, I love you. All right, here we go. I'm going to pause my share or stop my share and Diana, are you blowing kisses?
No, it's because I was adjusting how I sit and I saw in the camera I have this like bruise right here. And I didn't know what it was from. And then I covered my mouth because I remembered the camera was on. Sorry.
Right on. All right, I think we have just about everybody back. Yes, here comes our last room. All right, let's talk about the good essays. Let's start with the good. Anyone feel brave enough to sort of summarize what your team talked about? What do you think this group was doing well? Diana, thank you so much.
So from my group for the second essay, it was really they did a really good job of defining what they were going to like delve into in the essay like in the first place, because compared to another essay it was just a little weird, but like they really defined the 2 parts of the question and then like really went into what they're going to prove in the essay really smoothly.
Give that team a round of applause. They did a great job. That was awesome. Way to go, team. That's great. Excellent. That is exactly what I have written down on the answer key. So well done. What else did these essays do well? Rivka, thank you.
We said that they all really addressed the titles well. Like they defined certain parts of whatever the question was. And they also did it very clearly. Like you could tell exactly what the paper was going to be about and it wasn't confusing to read.
Excellent, Rivka. In a moment, we're going to call that unpacking the title. And that is another thing that these essays did relatively well in their introduction. Anything else that struck you as maybe different about these introductions than you're used to seeing in an academic essay, but that IB might have loved? Lily and Harrison.
Yeah, in essay number 3, I thought it was really interesting how the person just kind of came out and said, like, my assertion is that, and I feel like we've always been taught not to do that, but it was just interesting.
Yeah, essay number 3 in particular, right? I mean, would you describe it as combative?
No, yeah, they had some pretty, like, strong claims that they were making.
Yes. Harrison, were you going to echo that or add something different?
I was just gonna say that they used like first person but like a correct amount of like personal connection to add that aspect to the paper, but not too much to the point where it becomes like opinion based. Like, because that was the problem I had. One of the problems I had with the other two was that they used their opinion for basically all of it.
Okay, thank you, Harrison and Lily. And Andre, what do you want to add?
It was kind of weird reading these because we've always been taught not to make claims, don't make claims. You'll die if you make a claim, but all these paragraphs have like several just kind of broad, like empty rhetorical claims that haven't been proven yet that they make. And that's just strange to me, especially at the beginning. Like, second sentence will make a claim that really doesn't have to do with what they're writing, but they just say.
Yeah, thank you, Andre, for pointing that out. And that's why, again, I like to have these conversations explicitly, because this essay will be largely unlike any other academic essay you've written or essay you've written for an academic class. And Lily and Harrison, you guys put your finger right on it. And I'm sure the rest of you saw this as well. These are personal essays. The words I and me belong all up in this essay from start to finish, okay? You're going to be talking about your opinions and your beliefs. Now, Andre is right that oftentimes in the introduction, you're going to have to make what are heretofore unsupported claims. But that will be the work of the essay itself, is to go through and support those claims that you're making in your introduction. Okay, if you say that all scientific knowledge is X or all religious knowledge is Y, and in your own introduction you haven't supported that, that's what you do in the body of your essay. You show them evidence that all scientific knowledge is X and all religious knowledge is Y. And you'll actually do a lot more than that as well. You'll also tell the assessor why your opinion may be wrong, and then you'll tell the assessor why, even though your opinion may be wrong, you still believe it to be right. But we'll get to that later in the semester. We don't need to worry about that right now. We're just working on the introduction. Okay, great. Let's talk about the ones that sucked. Ella, you couldn't wait. Throw some shade.
Okay. So like for the 5th essay, it was like the author was narrating themselves writing the introduction instead of just writing the introduction. Like they started off with, I think that the title wants me to do this, so I'm going to do this. And then they were like, I think that it's important to define terms, so I'm going to define the terms. And it was like they were narrating their like thought process about how to write the introduction instead of actually writing it. And it kind of just like drew attention away from like their main point and what they were actually saying, because you're so focused on like them like telling you like what they think the question is asking them to do instead of just like straight up doing it.
Yeah, Ella, have you ever heard of like stream of consciousness writing?
Yeah.
Yeah, where the author is just like, there's almost bleh. Diana, what did you want to add?
So I looked at that same one too. And a point I made with my group was that the first sentence, the first words are, in my personal opinion, I think that, which just feels redundant because you're already saying that I think it when you say in my personal opinion. And something I pointed out to like my group was that I feel like the first sentence of any essay or book or whatnot really defines how the essay is going to go. So if you start off your essay with this really oddly phrased sentence that doesn't exactly make sense, your entire essay, you're already telling me your entire essay is going to be kind of crappy and not well put together. So I don't want to read the rest of it.
Oh my God. Okay, yes, everything you're saying is fire. Zoe, what do you want to add?
Our group just kind of talked to how both of them really didn't make any sense, and like their points were really unclear and like just fairly hard to understand like as a reader what they were talking about, because they included a lot of like unnecessary phrasing and like just stuff that completely muddled what they were trying to say. And like specifically with the 5th one, like I don't know what was going on, but it wasn't good.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote down for essay number 4, the first thing I wrote down on my answer key was a 3-letter abbreviation that is common in text messaging that's usually followed with a question mark. I won't tell you what those 3 letters are because it's not entirely appropriate. But yeah, so many words and so little said, right? It was just like this word vomit of stuff that the person thought sounded smart, but like you couldn't follow anything. Rivka, what do you want to add?
This is kind of echoing Zoe, but honestly, I have no idea what those 2 people were trying to say. And specifically with the 5th one, the like good essay that had like the same title, like did a much better job of actually like identifying like what was going to be said in the paper and like defining terms, versus the 5th one. I don't even know why they were defining the terms that they were defining. Like it was not clear at all. And I was like, okay, this is super random and doesn't even seem to have anything to do with the title at all. Like, I don't know why it's there.
No, I totally agree with you, Rivka. I totally agree with you. Ella and Diana, you wanted to jump back in.
Yeah, and then for like the 4th one, they went on like 5 different tangents. Like it like made this really broad claim about like abstraction, and then it just like starts stating facts, like Picasso was an artist, like he did abstract art. Like it was just, there was no flow. It was just like random sentences like pieced together that made like absolutely no sense. And there were also a lot of like really, like I feel like every other sentence was like a really broad claim that I feel like it'd be difficult to prove all of that in the essay.
You're right. So many issues are raised that within 1,600 words, the author is going to have a really hard time, defending those claims. And before I return to Diana for a comment that she's going to provide, I do want to just sort of emphasize what Diana said about the importance the introduction plays in setting the mind of the marker or the grader. Like when you read a bunch of muddled thoughts, and that's the first thing you encounter with that candidate's paper. Again, we'd like to think that these are like robotically perfect graders that are grading these essays, but they are not. They're human beings like us, and they spend about 8 minutes on each essay. So like they have to grade these pretty quickly. And if you set the tone, this I'm a hot mess on the inside, they can't help but sort of feel that way as they go through your arguments. Diana.
So I think Rivka made this comparison about another, like one of the good essays, and that had the same question as the 5th one, because I read the 2nd one and the 5th one, and so they both try to define terms. However, the 2nd one actually defines terms relevant, and like Rivka said, like the 5th one just defines truth and opinion out of nowhere, and the 2nd one does a really good job of flowing into like the history and like different aspects that they're going to prove, whereas this one just randomly at the end gives a quote about art that has nothing to do with whatever they were saying at the beginning, so it just seems completely out of nowhere.
Yeah, again, it's hard to follow from the start to the end what this essay is going to be about. It just seems to be a minefield of different possible topics. Zoe?
Yeah, and like kind of to build on that, I don't think either of them really did what they were supposed to do. Like the one about art was like name one art form and like how you're gonna do that. And they named like 5 and then like didn't really explain any of them. And then at the end we're like, yeah, okay. And then the 5th one, they were supposed to like do 2 contrasting like viewpoints or whatever. And they listed them in like the second sentence from the end. It's like the very first time they even introduced like their big idea that they're supposed to be writing the paper about. And I just thought that was odd.
All right, I agree. So write this down, if you can, please, in your reflection journal or wherever you're keeping your stuff organized for TOK, all right? There's some important lessons for us to learn here. And I'm gonna just share my screen real quick so we can see them here in writing, because this is gonna be super duper important. Okay, here's what a good intro does, among other things. First of all, it does what we're gonna call unpacking the title. What does that mean? It's going to define the issues the essay is going to address. A lot of these titles are nearly infinite in the number of different issues that could be applied to them. That's why TOK chooses them, because they're working with, thousands of students all over the earth, and all of them have different experiences. So they try to choose titles that can be applied in a myriad of different ways. So you have to, in the intro, cleave off huge sections of knowledge, because you're just not going to have space to deal with them. So you have to define what it is you're going to talk about. Next, it's usually a great idea to list or somehow describe the areas of knowledge that you're going to dive into. A lot of times you'll be limited. It'll say with reference to 2 areas of knowledge. In other cases, it won't. But it's a great idea to, in your introduction, say, you know, and to explore this issue, I'll be contrasting the natural sciences and religion, or I'll be comparing how the arts produce knowledge with, you know, in deference to history or whatever. You want to define important terms. It's generally not a great idea to just use a dictionary definition, like according to Google, knowledge is, or according to Encyclopedia Britannica, you know, history is. You can do that, but then it's always advised to give your own insight or input on that definition. And then the introduction makes it personal. As I said, the best TOK essays are going to be the ones that are filled with examples from your CAS experience, or your IAs that you did, in your science classes, or the extended essay that you're researching, or, you know, the church group that you lead, or the, you know, civic organization that you're a part of, or the political campaign that you worked for and canvassed for during the election, whatever. Those examples that you have, because everybody can talk about Darwin and evolution. Everybody can talk about, you know, Hiroshima and the atomic bomb. Everyone can talk about the Holocaust and Hitler. Everyone can talk about those things. We all know about them. It's hard to find interesting and new things to say about them, right? But nobody knows your story like you do, right? And so finding those opportunities to take these abstract notions that we've been talking about in TOK and apply them to your life, that's what's going to make your essay shine. Okay, that was a lot. Okay, thoughts on that? Everybody good? Hands raised, nodding. You're like, dear God, Mr. Hudson, just get me off the screen. It's okay, I understand, okay. All right, your assignment is in Canvas, and it's not designed to take a lot of time. So again, I don't want this to be something that you feel like you need to spend, you know, an hour working on. I know you have big priorities right now. You'll see this essay writing, practice editing. This is a real title from 2019. The production of knowledge is always a collaborative task and never solely a product of the individual. Discuss this statement with reference to 2 areas of knowledge. Okay. I want you to imagine that you are me, or perhaps more appropriately, a TOK teacher. One of your students is coming to you and they want you to look over their introduction that they're writing for an essay on this title. Their introduction is right there below. It starts with the quest for knowledge. What I'd like you to do before class next Wednesday is literally edit that paragraph for that student. However you want to do that. You can rewrite it. You can, you know, use strike through and underline and I don't know, whatever, however you want to do that. But I would like you to literally imagine that this is the introductory paragraph for an essay on this title, and think about what has the student done well and should be kept, what has the student done poorly that should be getting rid of, and submit for me a revised, better version of this paragraph, okay? If I had to tell you how much time to budget for this, I think 15 to 20 minutes is a good ballpark. I think if you're spending any more time on that, you're overthinking it. I think if you're spending too much less time on that, maybe 10 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes, then you might not be giving it enough thought and effort, but again, that'll be up to you. All right, I'll stop talking. We got about 5 minutes left. I'll hang out in class if folks have questions on anything, but especially on the assignment. But if not, feel free to say goodbye and take off, and I'll see you guys again next week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Hudson?
Yeah, AJ. Yeah.
So what's happening with CAS? I'm just kind of curious. Like, do we have those experiences like that we wrote last semester? Are we gonna ever use those or need those?
Yes, so you guys are going to be in an interesting situation.
Yeah.
Partially because of COVID and partially because of the maternity leave of our CAS coordinator.
Yeah.
So she will be returning, I'm not sure if she's returning after fall break. I'll have to look into that. When she gets back, we'll have plenty of time to get you all sorted out on CAS.
Oh, okay. Wait, you said after fall. Okay.
Yeah, so right now, again, you don't need to worry about it. Just focus on your extended essay, focus on your college applications, and when she gets back, we'll make sure you're sorted.
Hey, she was talking about this like big project we wanted to do, and like me, Andre, and like Sue and Oscar wanted to like for the big project for Cass like plan a trip together somewhere. But like obviously it's kind of hard to do that right now with like everything. So like, can we do that? If we do it next semester, could it still be counted as like our big project? Is like
Yeah.
Yep, the short answer is yes. The long answer
Okay, I
is,
didn't know-
oh, go ahead.
She was saying it had to be, but we've been like trying to plan it and see what we could do, so we could like use that as a long project, right?
Hang on, let me just show you. 1 second, I'll just be right back. Okay, because of COVID, IB just emailed me 528 pages of updates that they've made to the program. Because
528 pages.
528
Are you
pages.
joking?
No, I'm on about a page, I don't know, 80. I'm learning a lot, but my reason for bringing this up is that they are aware that students around the world are going to struggle with CAS because of the situation. So you'll be okay. We'll make sure you'll be all right.
Okay.
Cool.
I just want to make sure. All right.
Yeah.
And have they said anything about exams? Is it gonna be like the same as last year? Grade off the IA probably.
They have not
They haven't
said, well, actually, sorry, and AJ, it may say in here, I'm only on page 8.
Yeah.
So it may
Oh,
give
yeah.
some more details about that, but I think they're planning on having exams because this year they'll be
Okay.
prepared for it. I don't know how they're
Yeah.
going to do it, but I bet it's in here somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, Mr. Hodgson.
Welcome.
But Mr. Hodgson, I have kind of a weird question.
Yeah.
So I finished like the entire Quest Bridge thing. I just need my counselor to submit that school report, and I emailed her about it like, I don't know, 13 days ago. I emailed her again. She responded. She's like, okay, I'll do it. Just send me this thing on Naviance. So I sent it like a week ago. Nothing. I sent her an email this morning. Nothing. So if by like Friday she doesn't submit it, because it's due Tuesday, this whole application, like,
She just emailed me today asking for those school reports, and I just sent them to her this afternoon. So hopefully by
Okay.
this afternoon or tomorrow, they'll be uploaded.
okay, good. Because I was about to say, like, could you go and like physically ask her to do it? Because I mean, I really don't want this application to be all for nothing. So
So for sure. So yes, if by Friday they still haven't been submitted, let me know and I will go do that. But yeah, we just did that today.
okay, good. All right, take care.
Yep, you're welcome. See ya.